Yoga Global, as we see that the gift of India is now spreading over 170 countries. And as you know, this Rajpath has become the Jogpath. Our presentation in the International Yoga Day is the Vigyan Bhavan by our director. Here it is the doing of combination of yoga, our soldiers, and in international counterpart. Yoga has been introduced in the NASA's mission as their preventive measure, and nowadays US Army also applied yoga for their soldiers fighting fit. US Army turns to yoga to make troops combat ready. So now it has there is no other means that yes, yoga has now established international research publication, and coming whatever data we recorded, it has been published in reputed journal, that is the Age. It is in the Journal of Experimental and Integrative Medicine. It is in the International Journal of Yoga from S-VYASA. It is in the Journal of Alternate and Complementary Medicine. It is the Physiological Journal of Yog Vigyana. Here aerobic and anaerobic matter has been explored. It is the Biomedical Human Kinetics Journal. Here it is the British Journal of Sports Medicine, aerobic and anaerobic performance improvement through yogic practices. These are all direct measures, there is no indirect measure, and real-time analysis. And in summary, I can say that to conclude that customized yoga includes what we say it is Satkarma, Asana, Pranayama and Dhyana. And as an effect of this, it reduces cortisol level, increases BDNF level, reduces epinephrine, serotonin, dopamine improvement, antioxidant improvement, and sympathetic activity it reduces, and parasympathetic activity it increases. Fat percentage, depression and anxiety it reduces, whereas lung function, oxygen consumption, anaerobic power, muscle strength, flexibility, vigilance, cognition, attention, cold tolerance and memory it improves. Our ongoing work is the effect of yoga training on physical fitness, cognitive function, different altitude areas in northern region, all on the soldiers. And finally, thank you.
I am sure these floor members will agree with me that it's a brilliant exposition of the presentation. And yoga, the delivery of the presentation with reference to yoga in extreme condition is a hard task. Has made it very easy. It's a brilliant exposition. As a mark of respect, please, to him, please put your hands together again.
Thank you.
We have about 78 minutes time for tea break. I invite questions from the floor of the house. Please use the mic. Please give him the mic.
Aerobic exercises and anaerobic exercise difference. Anaerobic means they don't use oxygen for exercise. Aerobic means they use oxygen for. What is the difference between aerobic and anaerobic?
Anaerobic means it is the instant energy supplementation to the muscle, that is ATP and creatinine phosphate. It lasts maximal 30 seconds. Short distance explosive activity is the anaerobic power, and long distance when it goes to the Krebs cycle and giving you the instant oxygen for the production of ATP. That is the aerobic system.
Our first learner speaker is with us only. If there are any questions to Dr. Guru Prasad, he can pose the questions.
How yoga can help in lowering the blood pressure and the sugar level in the diabetes. Yoga or pranayam, whatever is possible, least exertion.
you go back to my the last slide, which I was trying to explain there, is that if I straight away pick up what I do as an exercise prescription as an aerobic prescription, if you see my prescription and you straight away jump into this one. So this is how I would classify the yoga postures. All right, if you ask me from my medical terminology, from my rehabilitation, physical medicine background, how would you classify? This is how I would classify as the stretching exercises, stretching with isometric exercises in which there are different grades depending upon how difficult is the yoga posture, and then as aerobic exercise in which Surya Namaskar is one of them, and the other one is if you have developed your own customized set of exercises or set of asanas which you can go through. So if you pick up this one and straight away think in terms of diabetes, what we have noted in diabetes is that there is a good reduction in the blood sugar with aerobic exercises. If you take that one, then it is the Surya Namaskar. Surya Namaskar should definitely reduce the blood sugar, as it was told by the Mr. Sahu as well, that it is an aerobic exercise. You go through the series of asanas as a quick, you don't actually look towards the quality of the posture or the duration of each posture. You go in quick successions. So it's actually an aerobic exercise. So in that way, Surya Namaskar should produce a good, drop down in the blood sugar level. All right. But in terms of blood pressure, the evidence says that of course aerobic exercise do have some effect on the blood pressure fall, but the evidence is more towards meditation and pranayama. If you practice meditation and pranayama, then the fall in blood pressure is much, much more, especially for the essential hypertension, what we call as an old age hypertension sort of. The evidence is much more towards them rather than the yoga postures. Aerobic exercise, as aerobic dancing does produce this one, fall in blood pressure, but there is not very conclusive evidence in terms of yoga postures for blood pressure, but definitely for pranayama and meditation. I hope that answers.
If there are no questions from the floor of the house, I have a question for Dr. Guru Prasad. You described two types of exercises: 30 minutes moderate intensity exercise, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, or 10 minutes each time, 3 times a day. That also comes for 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Either both of these types, will they make any difference or same, or which is better if they make any difference?
Yes, we usually suggest any person to do intermittent exercises if there is huge fluctuations in terms of blood pressure, or if the person has got some complications for which you cannot do exercises more than 15 minutes or so. In that case, we usually suggest break, do it few times in a day. But if a person can do for 30 minutes, that is better in terms of the endurance. At the end of the day, it is the endurance that matters. How long can you walk? One of the basic parameters that we assess is, can you walk 100 meters? Can you walk 200 meters? Right? So if you want to walk from here to your park or your shopping place, buy something, come back, you need endurance. Right? So if you can achieve an endurance, that is well and good, but if you can't, then even if you want the results of half an hour exercise, you do it 10 minutes, 3 times a day. That is well and good in terms of calorie consumption, but it won't develop you endurance. So you have to build endurance rather than, you don't get when you don't have it. So
I want the floor to go with the impression that everybody can do all types of yoga, asanas, exercises and all. Dr. Guru Prasad, suppose I'm a diabetic with some complications like coronary artery disease.
Yeah.
Can I do all types of asanas?
No.
Are they dangerous?
No. Yeah. What I feel is, what we feel from the medical component, whenever you do any asana, there is something called isometric exercise. In our classification, we classify the muscle contractions into different types. One is called as isometric exercise, in which the meter of the muscle does not change. You hold the same angle for certain time. This is isometric. The muscle is contracting, but it is not moving. So this is an isometric exercise. If you take a posture, like let's say we take a Mayurasana. When we do Mayurasana, there are certain muscles that are contracting, but they are holding like this. So when you hold a muscle like this, the blood pressure inside the blood flow inside the muscle stops virtually, right? That is why you can't hold it longer time. But whenever you contract the muscle as an isometric, the blood pressure shoots up, right? So if you hold it like this, if you keep on contracting all the muscles like this, then the blood pressure shoots up inside the body. You can't hold it for longer time, right? So if you are a diabetic and who want to do exercise, I would not advise to go for very high intensity exercises or the asanas like that. Rather start with the beginning. There are certain asanas which are only stretching, which don't have much of muscle contractions in terms. You stretch the muscle and you leave it there. So they consume very little calorie, or the endurance or the fatigue level for those asanas are very less. You do a Vajrasana. Technically Vajrasana is it's a stretching exercises for the ankle joints and the knee, you can say like that. But the muscle usage in Vajrasana is less when compared to you are doing a Pinka Mayurasana. So these things do matter when you do exercises, especially even in diabetics. So what I would suggest is start with a moderate exercise, as I say, in which only you have got 2 or 3 groups of muscles that are working, and then you build on it, rather than jumping. In isotonic, what normally we suggest for, let's say, aerobic dancing, you keep on doing it like this. So this is called as a isotonic muscle contraction, right? The tone of the muscle remains same, but the length of the muscle varies. So this actually drops down the blood pressure. So that is why we suggest aerobic exercises or normal walking or swimming. These are all most of the sports are actually aerobic exercises. Unless you actually pick up a dumbbell or a barbell and start doing this weightlifting, then they, of course, as you said, it goes for anaerobic muscle contraction rather than aerobic muscle contraction. To start with, I would not prescribe anybody as an anaerobic component, because you will really struggle with it. Because at the end of the day, my job is to give you an exercise which you can work on it for another 6 months or 1 year. Sustenance is more important for me rather than you do an exercise for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and you become a dropout. All right? So don't go for high-tech, very great things to start with. Build it slowly, depending upon your endurance. If you have got complications, let's say you have got diabetic neuropathy or a heart attack, what you said, then I would put you under cardiac monitor and do the cardiac assessment. All right, we put you on a treadmill with ECG parameters and the VO2 if you want to, and then we check what is your endurance, how much you can take the load, and then we would prescribe it accordingly. Sometimes people do come with diabetic neuropathy in which they don't feel the ground, in which there is something called as a bicycle ergometer. You can actually do the bicycling thing with your hand. So we can use that one to assess your baseline capacity. So depending upon what is that you have got. See, my job is not to find out what you don't have. My job is to find out what is left out in your body and then assess what is that I can make use of it and then prescribe you an exercise that you can do it like that.
In medical practice, there is a proverb, you should always know that what you should not prescribe instead of what you should prescribe.
Yeah.
Like that, the take-home message is that all people cannot afford to do all asanas. Some of them are contraindicated in certain conditions.
Yeah.
That means they should go to a right person, find out what all asanas
Yeah.
that he can perform and
Yeah.
what he should
True.
not perform.
True.
What are the indications, what are the contraindications, what are the adverse effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have something to say. Recently I had the opportunity to deliver the presidential oration. I was thinking that diabetes musculoskeletal manifestation is only one condition, that is periarthritis or adhesive capsulitis or frozen shoulder. There are 41 musculoskeletal complications. For example, as he said, Charcot-Marie arthropathy,
Yeah.
muscle cramps, Dupuytren contraction, median nerve entrapment,
True.
there are ankylosing spondylitis like that, straight back syndrome.
Yeah.
There are hyperostosis and then osteoporosis. I was not able to believe that there are 41 conditions. though it's not my cup of the tea, as a internal medicine man and an endocrinologist, I took up, though it was the job of a more of an orthopedic surgeon. So I wanted to know the delegate, make the delegates know that there are so many conditions that are musculoskeletal conditions are attached to or there with the diabetes.
Yes, so I
There-
agree with you, 100% agree with you, because we see people with left and right with all the musculoskeletal problems because they are referred to us. My job is to look for them, isn't it? So as an internal medicine, each person looks the medical or the treatment, the patient from their specialty viewpoint. As he rightly said, he looks it from the internal medicine point, I look it from the physical medicine point, because you have come to me with what you can do as an exercise. So I have to see what are all these problems that he just said, whether you have got some of these things. If you don't have, then we need to prevent that, isn't it? My job is to ensure that you do exercise with no dangers. As I said, exercises can be dangerous, so it has to be prescribed so that you do it properly. You don't end up with another problem, because humans are made for walking. As soon as you get an injury, you become immobile. There is something called immobility syndrome that is quite common,
Yeah.
seen, as you said.
Joint dismobility,
Exactly.
immobility,
So that
a
you need to
limited
avoid.
joint movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as you lie down, the body starts degenerating. So
Yeah.
you need to avoid those things, and so that you can be healthy rather than going down quite fast. So that is what I would advise anybody.
Yeah. Now I think we are on time. Organizers, please, can we declare the session closed?
Yes, sir. So it's now time to show our gratitude to the speakers by presenting them a token of love. I would request our chair, Dr. Narsim Shetty, to present them a memento. Dr. Mantu Saha. Chair for today's session, for leading this session. Thank you so much, sir. And my humble request to Mr. Chetan to felicitate Dr. Narsim Shetty by presenting a memento. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, one and all. So before ending this session, I would like to share a few announcements with you. So today at 5:15 in the same venue, we'll be having a discourse by Professor N.V.C. Swami. Those who are interested can attend it. And at 6:30 in the main venue, we'll be having a drama, a cultural program by S-VYASA students on Swami Vivekananda. The name of the drama will be Chicago to Chicago. So I would request all the audience to please be present there at 6:30. And tomorrow we'll be having the plenary sessions in the main venue from 9 o'clock onwards. There are 3 speakers who's going to speak. And after that, it will be followed by the valedictory function in the main hall, main venue itself. So please do attend. Thank you. Tea is available just outside this hall. Please have it.